Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing a bit of an archaeological dig, really, into the foundations of professional excellence.
We are. We're going back over a century to 1918 and diving into this manual for the classic American traveling man. It's called The Successful Salesman.
And it is a fascinating snapshot because you sort of expect it to be full of this really antiquated, maybe even funny advice.
But it's not. Instead, it gives you a blueprint for professional success that feels, well, shockingly relevant today.
Exactly. So our mission here isn't to look at, post-World War I selling techniques.
No, not at all. We're trying to extract the timeless principles, the stuff about mental, moral, and even physical preparation that's required for high achievement in pretty much any field.
It really boils down to this idea that the core DNA of a high achiever just doesn't change much, even after 100 years.
Right. And a great place to start is what the manual says about talent, because it just fundamentally rejects this idea that you're born with it.
Okay, let's unpack that. The manual, it goes right after this whole idea of natural genius.
It does.
It notes that, men might choose careers like law or medicine because they feel a kind of natural pull.
A calling. Yeah.
But few traveling men, as they call them, ever chose sales because they felt, quote, naturally fitted. It suggests success in this field is almost entirely manufactured.
And that is such a crucial distinction. It frames this kind of high-level professional work as a learned skill, not some innate gift.
So it's about persistence, energy, determination.
Exactly. Those are the real engines of success, not raw talent. The manual even says something like 9 out of 10 men can become successful salesmen if, and it's a big if
they approach it as a profession to be learned.
That's the key.
That's fantastic news for anyone who feels like they're, grinding away, but they don't feel like a natural prodigy.
Right. There's that great line that the worker often succeeds where the mere genius falls.
So why does the manual think the grinder beats the genius?
Well, because the genius is maybe relying on charisma, on luck. The worker relies on a system, on consistency.
Yeah.
And consistency is what builds that long-term trust.
So the first qualification is just the desire. The desire to become a good salesman and to, as they say, get onto the high ground.
Yeah, if you're just in it for a salary and an expense account, you're not a professional. You're just a hired hand. You're not aiming for that top tier.
That desire is the engine, but it needs fuel, right? And the manual is just insistent on continuous study.
Oh, absolutely. It warns that you need specialized knowledge of your product, yes, but also a thorough knowledge of selling itself.
It says if you only depend on your own experience, you're stuck in the kindergarten stage.
Right. Experience alone isn't enough. You have to layer it with tested external principles. You have to study what to say and how to say it.
And their prescription for that is actually pretty modern. They say reading trade papers is most important.
And get this, a salesman should spend $10 a year on business papers. That was a significant investment back in 1918.
It was. All to stay informed about, product construction materials, what his customers actually need.
That's the heart of scientific salesmanship. You're not waiting to learn from a mistake. You're proactively learning the general principles or rules, so you don't make the mistake in the first place.
Today, that's like dedicating real time to industry reports, newsletters, competitor analysis, not just, scrolling through your social feed.
That's what makes you valuable.
And speaking of value, let's pivot right to compensation. The manual says the wrong attitude is thinking about salary first.
Yes. Instead of thinking about what you can do to be more valuable, it connects value directly to the reward. It asks, who fixes your salary?
And the answer is, you do, the salesman.
Exactly. When you're constantly earning more for the house than you're being paid, you are, and I'm quoting, sure to be paid more. High-class salesmanship, it is bound to show.
That logic holds up perfectly. If you make yourself indispensable, the money follows.
But then it lays down this very stern rule about financial discipline.
Right. It's about endurance.
Absolutely. You have to save. You have to buy life insurance, a good bond now and then. And this isn't just, moralizing.
No, it's practical. It's about reducing desperation.
Financial stability gives you patience, confidence, the ability to walk away from a bad deal. And on the flip side, you have to avoid wasting money on booze, for tobacco, for worthless literature.
It's self-management 101, really. Protecting your mind and your wallet so you can stay in the race for the long haul.
And once you have that value and that discipline, the manual mandates a specific philosophy on what you should actually be selling.
The cardinal principle. Every customer should be sold the highest quality of goods he will buy.
Which is really counterintuitive for a lot of people today, right? We're so often trained to just meet a price point. Why push for the highest quality?
Well, it lists a few key advantages. Better goods mean bigger sales, obviously. Higher ticket price.
But also more customer satisfaction. And crucially, less competition, because most of your rivals are fighting over the cheap, low-profit stuff.
And best of all, easier repeat business, because the product actually lasts and performs.
But if you commit to that high-quality approach, you have to become a technical expert. You can't just wing it.
Because buyers are going to ask detailed questions. They'll expect you to explain why paying 50 or even 100% more is actually cheaper in the long run.
You're not selling a price tag. You're articulating the total cost of ownership.
And that expertise is only useful if you have people to talk to. The manual is surprisingly tactical about client lists.
It is. It says that securing a good prospect is almost more important than making one big sale.
It's about attrition, isn't it? Customer lists are always shrinking. Buyers die, they change firms, company policies change.
So you have to constantly be recruiting new prospects. If you make a huge sale today, but your pipeline is empty, you're actually in a weaker position tomorrow.
And that requires just immense persistence, especially with strangers. If a customer says they're busy, you just have to graciously accept it and leave the door open.
You can't take it personally. And to bridge the gaps between those calls, they advise something that feels like the 1918 version of personalized email.
Using the mail, right,
Yeah.
with brief personal business notes.
Exactly, showing you appreciate the buyer's individuality, not just sending a generic form letter. It's all about signaling respect for the relationship.
So let's move into the actual encounter, where the deals are won or lost. The manual stresses understanding customer peculiarities and, this is critical, avoiding any dangerous argument.
It's absolute on this point. The ability to best your man in an argument is no part of successful salesmanship.
Because winning the debate usually means losing the account. You just create resentment.
The goal is conversion, not being intellectually right. So instead, you have to find the real source of resistance.
Which brings us to this concept they call the entering wedge.
I love this. When a buyer says, oh, we're all stocked up, it's usually just an excuse.
A polite brush-off.
Right. So the salesman has to look beneath the surface. Is it really a lower price from a competitor? Does another salesperson have a poll? You have to adjust your attack to match the real facts on the ground.
That's investigative salesmanship.
What
It
on-
requires so much emotional discipline.
Oh, for sure. You have to stay pleasant while you're basically being a detective. The manual says you must pocket his pride a good many times to succeed.
That discipline extends to integrity. But it makes a really fine distinction between honesty and sincerity. What's the difference there?
Well, honesty is about the facts. Sincerity is about your belief in those facts. The manual warns a man is no more honest than his dishonest or exaggerated statements.
So if you don't really believe it, your honesty is just transactional.
And any exaggeration destroys the long-term trust you need for repeat business.
The consequence it describes is so vivid. Dishonest business methods are the surest road to a hardworking, horny-handed old age.
What an image. It means you're just constantly chasing new clients because you've burned all your old bridges.
And the sale isn't over when they sign. The manual says it's not complete until the last detail is finished.
Yes. You never promise favors or privileges that aren't written into the order. You have to close every single loop to prevent confusion and protect that trust.
Another key part of this is cooperation with the house, or selling as is.
This is all about protecting standardization and profit. If a salesman is always demanding special modifications to close a deal, they're literally eating into the profit that pays their own salary.
So what's the prescribed answer from 1918 if a customer asks for something custom?
The answer is firm but confident. No, we cannot do that. We do not make special stock for anybody at regular prices.
Just a flat no.
Flat no. But then, and here's the pivot. You immediately spend time showing the value of the goods as they are. You sell the proven quality, not the hypothetical customization.
Which requires that deep product knowledge we talked about earlier. It all connects.
It all connects. Okay, so let's turn inward to the engine that powers all of this, self-management. And the manual talks a lot about this idea of punch.
Now, when we hear punch today, we think of flair or charisma. But that's not what they meant, is it?
Not at all. It is not noise or gesticulation. Punch is mental energy translated into consistent mental activity. It's built on vital energy and a good physique.
They call selling a long-distance race.
Exactly. And it's easier to maintain a steady pace than to keep slowing down and speeding up.
And that consistent energy is destroyed by what they call the morning after, Dissipation.
Right. The employer doesn't want a temporary whirlwind selling effort. They want consistent daily sales.
The warning about liquor is so strong because it just fundamentally destroys that consistency.
A salesman is the house's representative all the time. Your mental focus is a non-negotiable asset. Anything that degrades it is a career killer.
And beyond energy, you have system and accuracy. System is scientific orderliness.
This is where we see the 1918 version of our modern tech tools. They insist on a personal card index.
Basically a CRM.
It's a personal database to track the needs of every prospect because your memory is just not reliable enough. You have to organize your data.
And why the obsession with accuracy?
Because, as it says, mistake making is very largely a matter of habit. And mistakes are incredibly expensive. They lead to returns, adjustments, and a loss of confidence.
The successful person is the one who gets it right the first time.
That attention to detail is a habit, and tying it all together, the punch, the system, the accuracy, is the physical foundation. They have a whole section on the salesman and his stomach.
Health is the greatest asset. Starting the day with a grouch is often just a bad breakfast.
It's a stern warning. Eating more than you need overworks your organs. They talk about avoiding premature old age like hardened arteries.
They saw physical discipline as a professional requirement, not just a lifestyle choice.
If your body's out of whack, you can't maintain the mental energy for that long-distance race of a career.
So we've gone through this 1918 manual, and the takeaway is just stunning. Success isn't about luck or genius.
Not at all. It's about ethical discipline, continuous learning, critical thinking, and this intense self-management right down to your diet.
It's a testament to the constancy of human ambition, really. The manual mentions that some buyers would deliberately refuse to see the quick-quitting salesman.
Yeah, they would wait. They'd wait to see who has the courage of his convictions and just keeps calling. The failure to succeed, the manual concludes, often comes down to one single attitude.
It can't be done.
That's the paralyzing thought. If a task looks impossible, it's often because the professional has already decided their effort will fail.
The "it can't be done" man, as the book says, has wishbone in the place of backbone.
So the final thought for you to consider is this. If excellence is really built on persistence and discipline and the will to just keep going, how many opportunities have you written off as impossible when maybe you were just unwilling to try one more time?
A century later, and that challenge feels more relevant than ever. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.